Sticks here at the Token Minorities, bringing you the power rankings for Week 5 of the National Pokeball League, and joining me today is nobody because Michael kinda disappeared, so you're stuck with me solo again. Sorry about that, but we will carry on and persevere. Now, this week was probably the most exciting week of the season as we saw 2 of the 3 undefeateds taken down and a midweek trade happen that completely messed with my head as I was watching the replays. Just a quick note about that, Skarmory was traded midweek after one team had already done their battle using Skarmory and the other team had yet to do their battle. So the incompetence of Commissioner Jolt shined through as one poke was allowed to be used by 2 different teams in battle this week, and that really just kind of led to an interesting scenario as I was watching the replays, and I was like, wait, 2 teams had Skarmory. That doesn't make sense. But anyway, didn't detract from the fact that this was an amazing week, and we will just go ahead and jump right into the rankings. Now, before I dive into this, it is worth noting that Michael and I really have the same basic rankings for all the teams. It's just that a couple teams differed by 1 spot, and they were just swapped in our power rankings. So our justifications are pretty much the same, even though you won't really be hearing his because he's not here. But he and I talked, and we basically had the same reasoning for our spotting of the teams in the rankings. So let's just go ahead and jump in. At number 12, we have the Montreal Cobra Lions with a 1-4 record, -11 differential. They were previously number 12, so there was no change. They lost to the Atlanta Braviary 0-1, so it was a really close match. And I attribute the fact that they lost to the fact that they tried to set up with Zardex way too early when he did not have any damage on the Seismitoad at all, and ended up losing a threat that could have swept through Atlanta's entire team after a single boost if he had played a little bit more patient with it. I do have to give him props for effectively using Thunder Wave on multiple pokes, which allowed his slower team to put in a little work, but he was never really able to get any para-hacks, so besides the slowing down, I mean, that's what you use paralysis for, and I didn't think there was a single full para the entire game, so that was a bit unfortunate on their part. And they got caught off guard by a Water Shuriken, which took out his Nidoking after he switched it in, so really he just lost a poke for no reason, which eliminated 50-50s that could have won him the game. So getting caught off guard by that set and not just going for the guaranteed knockout, he was trying to play a little bit too far ahead, and that caught up with him to where he did not scout out what could have happened, and he ended up losing the game because of that. So I mean, it was a very close game and very well played, but unfortunately they did still lose, so I cannot really move them up in the rankings at all. At the number 11 spot, we have the Washington Charizards, who are 1-4 with a -9 differential. They were previously number 11, so there's no change at all. They lost to Manaphy City 0-3, which is, I mean, that's somewhat convincing, but I mean, the match was a lot more convincing than the score indicated. They brought a rain team, which was to be expected because that's kind of really all they can run if they want to have a chance at all, but unfortunately that's very predictable, and they had absolutely nothing for a Life Orb Draco from Hydreigon or a Hyper Voice from a Sylveon. Now, admittedly, they made a very nice play early on by going for a T-Bolt on the predicted Skarm switch from a -2 Hydreigon into Skarm, which allowed it to be taken out very early, and he also had nothing for Sylveon's Hyper Voice once Crobat was weakened and rocks are up, so I mean, really, he just didn't have enough for his threats, which, I mean, really screwed him over in the end. He made a very poor play of sacrificing Politoed when Rain had not run out, which pretty much, I mean, that just guaranteed the loss. Had Politoed gotten the Rain back up, he might have had a chance, but once he let Politoed go down without setting up Rain again, that was pretty much just the final nail in the coffin for him at that point. And didn't have enough to keep up with the offensive pressure from Manaphy City. He didn't have enough pressure of his own to put them on their back foot, and he had no switch in for their threats. So that is why I have them at number 11. They lost pretty convincingly, so that is why they have not moved up in the rankings, because they lost. At number 10, we have the Colorado Avalugs, who are also 1-4. Man, that's a very, very common record this week in the league, with a -14 differential. They were previously number 9, and they were down 1, and you might look at that differential and think, wow, what happened? Well, I'll tell you what happened. The Toronto Staraptors happened. And in easily the most boring match of the entire season, Colorado faced Toronto in a match that did not have a Pokemon below 50% going into a turn until turn 28, and did not have a Pokemon faint until turn 42. That was excruciating to watch. That was so painful. I was just sitting there kind of twiddling my thumbs because I had nothing else to do. I actually went back and made an entire 5-course meal, read a book, did some homework, came back, and a Pokemon had still not been knocked out. I exaggerate a little bit, but that's how boring the match was. Despite that generally indicating that the teams are evenly matched, I mean, the boringness of the match would indicate that the teams were, like, even. It was not really the case at all. Colorado had a single answer to Toronto's Clefable in Entei, and that really became obsolete as a check once its choice band was knocked off and Clefable got up a single Cosmic Power. And the rest of Colorado's team was unable to even 2-hit KO. Actually, I think the closest he could get was a 3-hit KO on the Clefable, even with only one Cosmic Power. So once it got 2, only double crits could have won him a game, which didn't happen, and that resulted in Toronto's Pink Blob and Clefable being able to outmatch Colorado's Pink Blob and Chansey, leading to a lopsided 6-0 loss with Clefable picking up all 6 of the kills. So that is why Colorado is at number 10 on this week's rankings. At number 9, we have the New York Metangs, who are, surprise, surprise, also 1-4 with a -6 differential. They were previously number 8, so they are down 1. They lost to the Oakland Rose Raiders 0-2, and really they brought plenty of threats that was able to apply a good amount of pressure to Oakland's team, but Oakland really kind of just had a solid answer to everything New York had, and eventually New York's team was worn down to where it just simply could not win. Unfortunately, while New York brought plenty of attackers, he had nothing to really break through Oakland's team. The one thing he did have was a Haxorus, which he switched into a Spec Sludge Bomb, and with no way to recover HP, Haxorus was left, at like 17% or something, which was easily in Fake Out / Quick Attack range from Mega Lopunny, pretty much neutralizing it as a threat. So, while I applaud him for going on the offensive, he had one bad play that cost him the match, and really, he played risky with the one Pokemon that he could not afford to play risky with, and that is what cost him the game. And that is why New York did not win this week and is at number 9 in my rankings. Now, Michael has the San Antonio Swamperts at number 9, while I have them at number 8, so I will just go into the justification for them in the next set of 4. Alrighty, on to the 5 through 8 slots, and as you can see, I have San Antonio at number 8, which Michael had at number 9, and he has New York at number 8, which I had at number 9, so same basic position, just slightly swapped positionings. But the San Antonio Swamperts, I have at number 8. They are 2-3 with a -2 differential. They were previously number 10, now they're up 2. They won over the previously undefeated Portland Timbers 1-0. Metagross was incredible for San Antonio, as it was able to use its Assault Vest to counter Mega Gardevoir, but also predicted the switch into Garchomp and was able to take that thing out immediately with an Ice Punch. And what was really, really nice was he brought Roar for Crest, which is something that every team that encounters Portland should bring, so that was really nice to see. U-turn pressure from Landorus was able to get Toja's team to the point of having to sack their Zapdos just to get rocks off the field, which was huge for San Antonio. And as a final countermeasure to Calm Mind Crest, San Antonio also brought Toxic and Clear Smog on Gastro. That just made me really happy that we weren't going to see a stupid Cresselia Calm Mind war going on. Unfortunately, near the end, he got frozen with his Celebi to where it couldn't take out Milotic on the turn that it would have gone down. So basically, Celebi got frozen the turn before it would have been able to take out Milotic with Giga Drain, so San Antonio was forced to switch it out. And just to rub salt in the wound, when the Celebi tried to switch in later, where normally it would have been able to switch in, not necessarily comfortably, but it would have been able to switch in and live with a good amount of HP to where rolls weren't in effect from an Ice Beam. Milotic crit it, and it just went down to where Milotic was able to stall down the rest of his team, but in the end, Gastrodon was able to outstall Mega Gardevoir and win the game, so he really did outplay Portland almost the entire game, and he brought perfect countermeasures. It just so happened that Ice Beam haxed its way to a closer game, but well done, San Antonio. It is great to see that you are back on the winning track, and I look forward to more and better battles from you as we go on to where eventually you are a threat for the playoffs. At the 6 and 7 slots, Michael and I once again just have the teams flipped. I have Manaphy City at 7, he has Oakland, while he has Manaphy City at 6, and I have Oakland at 6. But at number 7, Manaphy City, who is also 2 and 3 with a -3 differential. They were previously number 7, so there is no change there. They won over the Washington Charizards 3-0, and they used Alomomola effectively to weaken the Crobat to the point where Sylveon was able to take it out with a Hyper Voice, which pretty much just opened the floodgates for Manaphy City, as the combination of Sylveon and Life Orb Hydreigon was able to just click Hyper Voice and Draco respectively every time they came in and essentially get a kill. I realized that the score was 3-0, but the score was a lot closer than the battle actually was, as Manaphy City really just overwhelmed Washington the entire game, which resulted in a very easy win for Manaphy City. At number 6, we have the Oakland Rosa Raiders, who are 2 and 3 with a -3 differential. They were previously number 6, so there's no change there. They won over the New York Metangs 2-0, and as much as I hate to say it, I was impressed by a defensive team. Staring down the likes of Haxorus, Hoopa, and Thundurus T, one would think that a defensive team would be broken almost immediately and would be utterly doomed. However, Oakland managed to have an answer to every single threat and managed to neutralize the biggest threat to their team in Haxorus. Although Mega Lopunny didn't get a single kill, it didn't need to, as really just status and small attacks here and there were able to topple the threats of New York, and this was really just a well-played game that had enough offense to offer to keep me interested. I mean, I normally do not like defensive games. I admit I am a hyper-offense player, so it is rare that I'm impressed by a defensive team. Oakland did that this week, so I applaud them on that, and that is why they are number 6 in the ranking. At number 5, we have the first of the undefeateds to fall. The St. Louis Reshiram's are 4 and 1 with a +9 differential. They were previously number 3, so they are down 2. They lost to Phoenix 0-2, and although they have a better record than Phoenix, Phoenix is actually number 4 in both Michael's and my rankings, so we thought that the St. Louis Reshiram, after losing to them, did not deserve to be above them, so that's why we dropped them one extra spot, and that is why Reshiram are at number 5. Now, in their first true test of the season for the surprising St. Louis squad, this was easily the hypest match of the week, and as soon as I saw team preview, I got really excited. Both teams brought offense with a total of 3 defensive Pokemon between them, and St. Louis unfortunately just had no answer for a high jump kick from Mega Medicham, so his best chance was to apply enough pressure where Medi's mediocre speed would be its undoing, and the risky choice of choosing to bring Hypnosis on Bronzong paid off early, as he was able to put to sleep a huge threat in Bisharp, but he paid for it later when he missed against Thundurus in a very pivotal situation. While he was able to trap and KO the opposing Latias, I think it was Latias, with a Scarf T-Tar, he lost the 50-50 and was put into bullet punch range by HP fighting from that Latias, and he also attempted to use Lantern to counter Manaphy, but was unfortunately greeted by a +3 Energy Ball that left Lantern useless for the rest of the game, and Volt Switch only did about maybe 30% at the most. I think it did around 28%. So really, Manaphy was not neutralized, and it was just able to tear through a little bit more of the team. Now, he also lost another 50-50 against Thundurus with his Tyranitar, which effectively sealed the game for him. He went 0-2 on the 50-50s with T-Tar, which really cost him. He had one last gasp for life as Assault Vest Crawdaunt was able to survive an Energy Ball, not +3 mind you, just a regular Energy Ball from Manaphy, and KO it, but ultimately Mega Medicham was able to clean up, and St. Louis Reshiram, the top heaviness of their team cost them, and especially those 2 50-50s that they lost really just sealed the game for them and resulted in them being the first of the undefeateds to fall. And here we go with the big dogs. Now, as you can see, Michael and I have the exact same rankings for the top 4 teams, so this was pretty easy in our justifications. At number 4, we have the Phoenix Sunkern, who are 3-2 with a +6 differential. They were previously number 5, so they're up 1 right now. And they knocked off the St. Louis Rush-Ram, like I said, 2-0. They brought offense on offense just to try to outpressure St. Louis, and he catered his threats to take out the threats and potential walls on St. Louis' side, and won the 50-50s that I talked about with Latias and Thunderous against St. Louis's T-Tar, which allowed him to take out that gigantic threat and put him into a position to win. Really, there's not much I can say about this battle that hasn't been said already, but these are back-to-back impressive wins after a setback against Toronto that proves that Phoenix is on the winning trail and is definitely a force to be reckoned with come playoff time. At number 3, we have the Atlanta Braviaries, who are 4-1 with a +8 differential. They were previously number 4. They're up 1 because St. Louis lost, so they took over that spot. They won over the Montreal Cobalions 1-0, and they were able to use Seismitoad to trade for Zard X while getting Rocks up, which was a phenomenal trade, as it eliminated a threat that could have swept his entire team once Seismitoad was even weakened a little bit. And strange sets once again came through for Atlanta, as Water Shuriken on Greninja was able to take out the Nidoking and eliminate any 50-50s at the end to guarantee Atlanta the match. Overall, I question the plays late game of allowing Greninja to be T-waved by setting up spikes on a Slowbro, but it really did prove to be worth it, as spikes damage was enough to guarantee that Nido was KO'd by 2 hits from Water Shuriken, which won him the game. So I'm sorry for doubting you, Atlanta, but you proved that you do deserve to be a top team, and your strange sets really came through in this game, giving you the win. At number 2, we have my previous number 1, the Portland Timbers, who are 4-1 with a +1 differential. So since they were number 1, they're now number 2, so they're down 1, and they lost to the San Antonio Swamperts 0-1 in probably the biggest game of the week, and I think it will be the game of the week. Guts Hariyama was once again proving how much of a threat he could be, but Toj allowed it to be taken out by Skarm. Once again, you see another Skarm matchup coming into this that switched in on a CC, and really he didn't even trade with the Skarm, as it was able to outspeed and KO the Hariyama with Brave Bird while living with like 2% or something like that. So while Skarm was effectively neutralized, it wasn't a trade to where San Antonio did get the switch advantage after the Skarm was taken out. That dang Crest showed up again, and Toj even prepared for the Heatran with HP Ground and actually had it on Mega Guard as well, which allowed 2 special attacking Psychic types to take out a Spadef Heatran, which is not something you see every day, is not really something you really ever see unless it's Mega Guard or Mega Zam running Focus Blast. But he really just got played out. He really just got outplayed all match, but got a freeze and a crit from an Ice Beam from Milotic onto Celebi, which allowed him to take the match to almost a struggle war, but ultimately lose, which is how the match should have ended. I mean, I would have considered it kind of a travesty if Portland was able to pull that out just because of all the hacks that ended up giving them a chance to win. But it was nice to see that San Antonio was able to come through, and the better player at the time was truly able to come out and win. Hopefully Portland will be able to bounce back, which I'm sure they will. I mean, I think they have Toronto this week, so that'll be interesting to see, because it'll be the number 2 team in Portland versus the now number 1 Toronto Star Raptors, who are 5-0 with a +19 differential. They were previously number 2, so they're up 1. As much as I hate to say this, Jolt deserves this spot. They won over the Colorado Avalanche 6-0, and after unnecessarily stressing over team building this entire week, all of it paid off, as he was able to bring home his biggest win of the season by clean sweeping Colorado with a Cosmic Power Calm Mind Clefable. In the battle, Jolt literally did not make a single prediction, as he made the safest possible play every time and scouted out Colorado's entire team, which I found incredibly boring, as I have said before, but it ultimately proved fruitful, as he got Clefable in a position where it could set up all over Colorado, and after a single Cosmic Power, left it unable to be taken out by anything except for double crits, which, while it was incredibly boring, it was also incredibly well played, and Jolt is deserving of the top spot as the only remaining undefeated team. It pains me to say this, it pains me to give Jolt any type of credit, but he does deserve this, and that is why he is the only team left that has not lost and is in the number 1 spot this week. at 5-0. But yeah, that is the ranking, guys. I look forward to next week. We should almost have a guaranteed game of the week in Toronto and Portland, so I'm looking forward to that. But thank you for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe to the MPL, all that stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.